All right. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this very long talk about AI and the future of cinema and TV. Artificial intelligence, a tool or a threat, it's called. I want to start with a few ground rules before we begin. We are here to talk about the cons, but also the pros of AI, so let's all keep an open mind. AI is already all around, we just haven't been paying much attention to it. And AI is also here to stay, just like techno music, the internet, and Niels de Stadsbader. The other rule is let's keep the jokes about ChatGPT to a minimum, and know that joke about Niels de Stadsbader was not written by ChatGPT. I just have a really bad sense of humor. And if you're unhappy with my line of questioning during the day, I will later blame it on ChatGPT. That's the last joke about ChatGPT. Having said all that, we're going to start with, and this is not a joke, we're going to start with a ChatGPT experiment. It's a film called Ondergronds by Loyens, starring, amongst others, Braeckman, and it is completely written by ChatGPT. I hope you're ready for it, because it is quite special. Please enjoy Ondergronds. Okay, please welcome Loyens and Braeckman. You can pick whatever seat you like. Okay, now, Laura, maybe first tell me, when did you get the idea to do this?
I think it was the end of February, somewhere there. It was like
this year.
Yes, of this year. Yeah, February. ChatGPT was super new. It was like a new thing. It was just in news, and I was writing for my graduation film because I'm studying film directing at this moment, and so I was like writing for months already, and I heard about ChatGPT and that it's also able to do like creative writing and stuff, and I was like, oh damn, okay, interesting. So then I started thinking about it. Yeah.
Right, and I mean, how did it work? What exactly did you do?
So the thing was, I came up with the idea like, if I just let ChatGPT write like a short screenplay, and then we can like film it the next day, and we have a film in 2 days. So this was like the starting point. Mm-hmm. So what we did, first of all, I contacted a lot of people with this idea, this experiment. We didn't know what was going to happen. And I was looking for people who were like excited to jump in the dark with me. And then I found some of these crazy people. And then so we came together, me with 4 actors, the DOP, 2 producers. And we just opened the big screen, we opened ChatGPT on it, and we asked ChatGPT to write the screenplay for a short film of max 10 minutes with 4 actors. We gave some characteristics of each player, actually. Then we said the location is a parking lot. It was like a parking lot in my street. Make it low budget and make it Academy Award qualifying. These were the criteria. And then, then it wrote something in like 1 minute, and we watched it, and we were like, okay, damn. So tomorrow at 8, we go to the parking lot and we make this film. So.
Okay, and do you feel, because like I thought American Academy Awards qualified was quite a nice twist. Do you feel you got that? Like, do you recognize certain Academy Awards qualified elements in the script?
Personally, I don't really see it, but maybe other people do. I think it really wrote something with like a generic plot thing in the end, but I wouldn't personally say that it's Academy Award qualifying.
But did you also try other things? Like, did you try to make it write a Tarantino script or a Jan Verheyen movie, for example?
Actually, I really wanted to do the experiment right, so to be in the dark about it. Of course, before I called all these people, I tried some things and I saw that it's able to write a screenplay, but I didn't try too many different things. But I do know that you can easily adjust it. So if I had this screenplay and I would say make it a bit more Tarantino, it will adjust things. It will make it probably add some guns and make it a bit pulp and. So it's very good at doing this, like getting all this information everywhere from the internet to like, yeah. So, yeah.
Okay. Violet, was it the script that convinced you to do this film?
No, no, no. But we were asked for the experiment, and we were there when ChatGPT wrote the script, and the first version appeared, and we were very disappointed. So we thought, okay, maybe ChatGPT deserves another chance, and it wrote a second version. It was even worse, and then we thought, okay, maybe 3 chances, and then we'll see. And the third was even worse, so we stuck with the first one, and we just did it. Yeah. But it was also was also nice because Michael said, "Yeah, what is our goal? Do we want to make a statement that screenwriters they don't have to be afraid for now, or do we want to make a good movie, because that's not gonna happen?" So we stuck with the first one, and we
indeed.
just did it.
Yeah, so now actually, after all, I'm super happy with it, because now the movie is kind of a statement. Like, artificial intelligence is already very far evolved, but it's not capable yet to replace all of us and all of our creative jobs. So that's
But for the second and the third version, did you add stuff, or did you just rewrite it without any new additions to?
No, we just said like rewrite, do another one. But that was the thing. At first, we came into the room and we were like, no, we're gonna do one attempt. But then we were there and it was writing it, and I just hear from everywhere, I don't get it. What is this? Did I just give that to you and now you go and we were like, fuck, are we really gonna spend our time making this? So then we were like, okay, maybe we should give it 2 other shots and don't tell anyone. But then we were like, no, let's go with the first one. We want to make a statement, let's do it right. And then so we stick to the plan.
Right. But I mean, playing devil's advocate now, I know it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. At the same time, it's not completely bonkers. Like that, there is a sort of story in there. What was it that surprised you the most? Like happily surprised you?
Happily surprised me.
Yeah.
I think what happily surprised me is that after all, because we got the weird, absurd screenplay, and then for me as a director, I think it was like a challenge. How are we gonna do this? And then I just figured, like, let's just do everything we can to make this a good movie. So let's make beautiful lighting, good shots. We have good actors, so let's use them. And then trying all this, even now when you watch the movie, immediately you feel something is off. It's a bit unheimlich, it's a bit weird. So I think I like that, the fact that this is it's a finished movie. You can watch it and it's even, maybe you're like, oh, what's gonna happen? Also, like, a lot of people ask me, where is part 2? What's happening? What's gonna happen with the? So I'm like, okay, something worked about the weirdness of it. So that's maybe what I'm happy with.
Okay, I have a final question for the both of you. Are you scared of the effect AI will have on your career, since you're both still very young?
I don't like to be scared. I don't know. I'm like, of course, I'm very aware that there will be big changes and that we are like in the beginning of it. But I think we have faced a lot of changes before, and we are still here. So I'm also a bit excited to see how we can use it, how we can
as a tool
than a threat. Yeah. But of course, it's a bit scary. I'm not gonna lie about that. Like, you don't want to lose your job. I'm still studying for it, and maybe now it's already like, you can start another study, go study law or something. But like, I don't know. I'm also a bit curious,
Yeah, and I'm curious to maybe in 5 years to join again and do the experiment again, and maybe it's evolved.
Sequel.
Already.
Yeah, and maybe then it will be really Academy Award qualifying. We don't know.
All right. Well, thank you both very much. And Laura, you can remain seated, because thank you very much, Violet. And please give her an applause. Because now it's time to dive into AI with our first panel in collaboration with Sabam for Culture, deAuteurs, and the Scenaristengilde. So yes, we will be talking about the artificial screenwriter. I'm going to welcome 4 people to the stage. There was supposed to be actually 5, but Tas, Romy, tested positive for COVID because AI still can't fix that. And also Michael Roskan was supposed to be here, but unfortunately had to cancel at the last minute. But Lore will be taking his place. And also next to Lore, please welcome screenwriter Bram Renders, technology strategist Deevid de Meyer, and Secretary General of the Society of Audiovisual Authors, Cécile Despringre. I'm going to start well, you're actually going to start by doing a quick introduction of yourself, so each and everyone here knows who you are and what you did, and also why you're actually here and what interests you about AI. Cécile, let's start with you.
Okay, thank you very much. So I'm Cécile Despringre. I'm the Secretary General of the Society of Audiovisual Authors. It's a European association for collective management organization managing rights for audiovisual authors. We mainly address screenwriters and directors' rights. We have 33 members in 25 countries, and in Belgium our members are Sabam, deAuteurs, ECCD, and LASCAM. So we, taking into account the importance of artificial intelligence, we are working on the subject from the point of view of the protection of authors' rights and also the challenges for the profession and the opportunities it can bring, including for collective management organization to improve their activities.
Okay, Deevid?
Hi, so I'm like the ultimate outsider antagonist here because I'm the AI guy, tech guy here tonight. So I'm a big fan of movies, but I'm not involved in any kind of production or acting in any way. So I once founded an AI company called Brainjar, which is basically why I'm here today. I work with artificial intelligence on a daily basis. And besides working on it from a technical perspective, I also do a lot of presentations on artificial intelligence and what the impact of artificial intelligence will have on, the regular Joes, so to speak. So that's basically why I'm here today as well, to sort of give the technological perspective of how this is all going to affect us.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, Lore, well, obviously we just saw your film, but maybe go ahead and
an introduction.
A small, very small, short introduction.
Okay,
yeah.
so I'm Laura. I'm in my last year of film directing here at Kask School of Arts in Ghent. And I'm currently writing my own film, my own graduation film, that I'm gonna film on a volcanic island in March.
Okay, cool. Bram?
Hi, I'm a screenwriter. I started with Wacht in Zeven as my first project with two other guys. Did a couple of movies. One of them was Patser, and lately I've written What the Fuck in Tweede Zit. Next season is released in 2 weeks on stream, so watch it.
All right, perfect. Thank you and welcome. My first question is, and it's a big one, maybe even the last question if I play this well. No, I'm just wondering, does anyone here of you four truly believe that creative industries are in danger of AI? And maybe not in the sense that, wow, no, robots are never going to take our job. They can't write scripts. I'm pretty sure that at some point they will be able to do that. But will we let them? Will the public actually want to see more formulaic films than Netflix is already showing them right now? So are we in danger or not? Oh, Bram, you can start.
That's a broad question. I don't think we're in danger. I think it's an interesting tool. I'm wondering what AI will be able to do in 5 or 10 years, but for at the moment, I think for screenwriting, we're talking about large language models like ChatGPT. I think there's more. I don't find that really threatening. I think it's really interesting to see which tools can be developed in post-production, in editing, in sound engineering, in dubbing of actors. I think the main threat or the main challenges lie there.
Yeah, but at the same time, I mean, you're saying you don't feel you're in danger. In Hollywood, there was a strike not that long ago, also a screenwriting strike. They did feel that there was a danger there.
They didn't feel there was danger. They felt there were some rights that were going to be threatened. They didn't feel they were going to be replaced by AI. But the main issue was one of the main issues, wasn't the main issue of the strike AI, but was a side issue. The main issue there was, what if a producer type something into ChatGPT, give me a treatment about something, about a news article I read, which you can do, and they give you a treatment of a crappy movie, of a crappy treatment, which isn't really surprising or new, but they can go to a screenwriter and ask, you can do the rewrite of this. So you're not the owner of this property. I'm the creator of this idea, and you have to write it, so you get paid less. That's the main issue that was there. So they weren't threatened. They weren't feeling you can't use AI. Just they didn't want to be used as tools to augment an idea that wasn't an idea in the first place, but they felt they were losing ground in negotiations, in being represented as screenwriters.
All right.
So,
well, David, so Bram believes AI will come up with a crappy script, but how long will it take before it actually comes up with a proper script?
I think that was actually quite an interesting answer, because you said like, oh, I'm not scared, but give it 5 to 10 years, which is not that long of a time horizon, is it? 5 to 10 years before...
I'm not sure what in 5 to 10 years will happen. That's what I'm saying.
If I would have stood here or sat down here, I would say like 5 years ago, and we would have had a similar chat based on what AI was able to do back then, 5 years ago, I would have probably given you the answer like, nah, not probable that we will have image generation systems or text generation systems anytime soon. Right, maybe in a year or 20, which is like the convenient date to say like, don't bother me about it, like it's a long way from now. But then suddenly, right, out of nowhere, out of not being able to do that, AI systems have evolved in just a year, moving from ChatGPT to GPT 4.0, which is, if you pay some money, way smarter than what we get out of the box. So the development that it has actually gone through in just a year or two is already quite astounding. So I think maybe people underestimate how big of an impact this will have in what kind of time frame. But it does mean, it sort of stems from the fact that if you say like, I'm not going to use these tools, right? At what point is it going to compete with me? As long as you have the optics that this is a tool that you can use yourself in order to improve actually your own quality, then you can sort of, ride the wave of technology. Then you can sort of use this technology to survive in a sense. But saying like, okay, my way of working, my pure own creativity without using any kind of AI tool, this is, I believe, definitely something that will be threatened. The artisanal approach, let's say, to writing screens, to screenwriting is definitely threatened somewhere in the next 5 to 10 years. So, but once again, this is sort of the negative view. If you embrace this technology, then you can sort of use it to ride these waves and survive on a longer time frame, 20 years or so.
Cécile?
Well, I'm happy to hear that creators are confident in their creativity and in their talent and their ability to survive this technology. I think that creativity is not threatened as such, because what makes cultural works and what we like as a human being to see is something unexpected. All these AI models are based in expectation, on modeling, etc. So I'm also quite confident that what cannot be predicted is what makes it interesting in art. But at the same time, I think that the next generation of creators is in danger because, as long as you are an established author, you have your own reputation, you had your time to train yourself, to make a lot of different things that train your art. I think the future is less bright for Lauren, because I'm afraid that some jobs that were part of the training of any new creator, I looked a lot at what's happening in translation, for photographers, for illustrators, painters. in those sectors, the threat of AI is very much present, because it takes jobs that are maybe not the most creative on earth, but that is part of making a living for this kind of profession. So maybe for filmmakers it's less, but I mean, doing advertising, doing less creative jobs, let's say, I don't want to blame anybody, but it's in the industry. As a filmmaker, you are doing plenty of things to make a living. You are doing to train yourself, and I think part of these jobs are in danger, because they can be made by machines. They can be, and the audiovisual industry, it's not completely made of very, very creative work. So that, for me, that's the danger, and this part of the jobs can disappear in a way as an opportunity for young creators. So I think there is a risk of less opportunities for the creators of tomorrow.
Laura?
Yeah, it's maybe because I'm still young and still starting that I feel like I'm not feeling like going with this trend of being scared of it. I do believe that maybe it will take jobs, but maybe it will also create jobs. I think we just need to rethink. The world is changing on so many different levels, and this is probably just one of them. And I actually feel it as a challenge to be even more creative now, and to think outside of the box, and to use my creativity to overcome this, maybe even. And like we said, it's at this point I said, like, I'm writing my graduation film, and I am using ChatGPT, but not to write it, but just to, like, you know, the poetic thing of locking yourself up in a hut somewhere at the seaside. But then again, sometimes you feel lonely and you want to talk to someone. And then I have ChatGPT to ask some questions, and it's sometimes just, in this way, it's pretty nice. Like, you can, make it your friend, literally. You
mean to say, like, it triggers your creativity? Or just your loneliness?
Whoa, that's another subject. No, but like, no, more if you're stuck, like the typical writer block thing, it just takes me out of it very quickly. Like, sometimes I would like slash my computer, like, fuck, I don't know what to write, and then now I can be like, okay, give me 10 more ways how this story could end. I don't know. And then I'm just like, or even I asked, tell me why this movie should be made and why it's important. And I was confident again, you know? So it's like, you can really use it in your advantage. Yeah. I don't know.
I felt you said something really interesting, Cécile, about how, you know, there's always going to be a thirst for truly creative, surprising stories. At the same time, you know, Netflix is doing quite well, doing a lot of formula films and actually using AI to predict what their viewers will like. So I get that we all want to see the new Yorgos Lanthimos and Poor Things, but there's like 5 other billion people out there who are quite happy seeing the same old thing over and over.
Yeah, that's why my opinion is mixed on this. I think the audiovisual industry is full of not so creative audiovisual work. So I'm happy that it can, this tool can trigger the creativity of creators. But from an industry point of view, I think we have plenty of decision makers that just want the next hit, and they do not necessarily care that if it's the most creative work. So it's a fabric of images that also sometimes want to repeat what was already done. And in doing that, I think AI is a beautiful tool to repeat and repeat and repeat the same stories in different ways. So that's why, for me, it's still a threat for the filmmakers, because we will need technicians, we will need people making the films, but the creativity can be lost in this kind of industry. When it's about filling the pipes, we can have more content like that. So that's why, there are people in this industry using content, which I think hurt your ears. So we are not all looking for the next beautiful new films. There are people who are just trying to feed their pipes.
How do you feel about that, Bram? Because obviously, like, you can't write 20,000% creative work every single time. Like, sometimes TV stations, producers are just looking for content, and you're looking for a way to pay your mortgage.
Yeah, personally, I don't think I'm too old to see the real revolution if that's going to happen, and I'm counting on reruns of Wacht en Zeven to pay my mortgage. Thank you, Sabam. I know there's a possible threat. These large language models, which like ChatGPT, can be trained, and they need lots of data. So I don't think there's a threat for original movies or short-running series. But a soap, for example, I think it could be possible to feed all the characters in there, all the screenplays, and that a large language model that's well trained could replace the dialogue writers or replace all the dialogue writers with one editor who checks everything and sees everything is matched. Not the storyline. I think the storyline is too advanced and too complicated to really emulate everything in there. But I think dialogue is one of the possible threats there.
But even for, like, I don't mean to sound discriminating, but even for like a soap series which actually works with formula and just rewrites the whole same formula over and over again, quite often. That could probably be done by ChatGPT, or maybe it can go from a writer's room with 7 people in it to one with 1 or 2 people in it and ChatGPT.
Yeah, that's possible. Yeah, I think that's possible. I think you can use ChatGPT as a brainstorming tool. So Taj Rome, who couldn't be here, gives workshops on how to use it as a private writer's room, and I think it really can be used to generate new ideas and to help you as a screenwriter. But it won't ever, ChatGPT won't decide in the morning when you open your computer. It won't decide, here's a screenplay for you. So you really have to feed and train it and ask the right questions to get things out of there. Because it's always, if you generate 10 ideas, or I tried it with a series, generate 10 titles, they were all horrible. And the 10 ideas were all mediocre. If you ask to do a story arc, it's mediocre, but it can help there to pick out some of the small bits and to build on that. So I think really but it's still a tool, and there are jobs in danger. I'm really convinced that that's right. My wife, who works for VIA, it's a Flemish institution who combines all artificial intelligence research from universities and hogescholen. Yeah. And she talked to a teacher at one of the schools who teaches bachelor's copywriting or graduate copywriting, and he was totally in shock. He says, oh my God, ChatGPT generates better short copy than all of my students ever will. So what am I going to do? Am I going to teach them? And they're trained for low-level jobs at ad agencies or other places, but it's not that all their jobs are going to be lost, but they have to change the function of their job. They're not going to be able to, it's not, for them, it's not going to be necessary to learn how to make good short copy, but they have to be able to read those texts and check if they're okay and pick the right one. So it's a different talent there. But so their jobs are going to be threatened, but also their other jobs are going to be created. Less jobs probably, but.
Okay, but so basically you're saying, in short, that AI can never be truly creative? In short, I mean...
Yeah. What's creative? But
but then Deevid, I mean, like, it has been said, like, this is a common analogy, that if AI would have existed in the 1900s, or in 1900, it could have never invented jazz, because it works with what's already there, and jazz wasn't invented yet, so it could never have invented that, which is probably true with AI at this moment in time as well. But do you feel that it might ever be able to invent something like jazz?
Oh, wow. Something truly creative, which is like a whole discussion on what is creativity. I think so, but it is going to require a slightly different type of AI than the one we have now. So the sort of canonical example that we always give when it comes to true creativity is the Google AlphaGo system, which is, you have chess. We all know chess. And there's like an Eastern variant called Go, which is a hugely complex game. And at the time when we beat the first chess player with a computer, people said back then, like, okay, chess, you got lucky, but you'll never do Go. Go will never fall to a computer because it's just so complex and you can't. Now we have an AI system that beats humans at Go, so that's already over. But in that game, in the seminal game versus the world championship player Go, there was one move. It's infamous. I think it's like move 27 or something like that, where every human player analyst, looked at that move and said, like, through the game, right? That's a horrible move. You made a huge mistake, which afterwards turned out to be an integral part of its strategy. It was a superhuman way of playing, something that we couldn't even comprehend. And the reason that I believe that it will require a different type of AI is exactly right now we have an AI system. It's trained on all the internet, all the different media, and it sort of replicates and combines, combinatory creativity is something that it will do quite well. Pocahontas, but with blue aliens, and you have Avatar, right? But true creativity will require a different type of AI, but this type of AI already exists. So this is reinforcement learning AI systems. It just hasn't been correctly applied to a language system yet. But nobody says it's impossible. So once this becomes fact, right, and it will sort of be an AI system that talks against itself and learns to talk on a superhuman level. We can't even imagine how that would work, but it can work. Then you will see, the use of language, the use of creativity in a way that might even surpass a human being. And what would that be, right? Could we even recognize creativity that is so far above us? We might say like, oh, it's too confusing, right? Like when I look at a experimental art film, I will be like, nope, that's not for me. It's smarter people, more creative people will appreciate this, but not me. I believe that an AI system will eventually get there, but will also hit that, mass market sweet spot that we kind of all like. There's this website, TV Tropes, right, that collects all the, tips and tricks of the trade, the repeatable things and stories that we use. And, just combine, basic psychology, basic audience, audience testing, right, with this type of lists of things that work well in stories. And I'm sure that eventually we'll be able to generate blockbusters on, sort of treadmill kind of way. But, there will still be somebody, I always say when I give presentations on AI, there is no replacement for good taste. There will still be somebody that might be one single person in the studio that sort of feels if there are 10 scripts, that's the winner, right? That's going to be the one that sells out all the box offices. So that person, whoever that may be, his or her job is completely safe. But, working that into, a concrete end product, that's all, threatened in the long term.
Okay, so one person will still have a job.
One person, yes, exactly.
Okay. Now, Laura, I think you already admitted to using AI or ChatGPT. Do you know of any other examples in the movie and TV business that either admit to already using AI or that you suspect of already using AI?
I think it's all very new. It's very new. I think in animation, definitely. It's been used for a while now. But in fiction, I think it's so new that there is no blockbusters that are released yet, I think. But correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know. But I think now is the time that everyone's using it to make... I'm not sure. I do see in my surroundings, young people do use it. If not in film, it's to write your thesis or to... I don't know. It's all around. But I don't know.
Bram?
I think South Park did a episode about ChatGPT in which they use a part of it, but I'm not sure about that. So, but yeah, we're talking about ChatGPT again, and it's a very specific part of AI.
I know.
Because they've been using AI for ages. Google is based on AI. So if somebody used Google, which I do, to research, you're using AI to get all your searches and to get to the info you need. So we've been using it. This is a different thing. So there have been lots. Every movie now that exists that's maybe made now has been in touch with AI. And we'll be in touch with AI if you put on Netflix. It's the algorithm that pushes the right episode to you. So yes, it's being used, but I don't think it's the ChatGPT. Your movies be made with ChatGPT. And there's another short film be made with ChatGPT in English, and I think South Park. So
yeah. Okay. But I mean, I think we're getting to a point where it will be used more. And then, Cécile, I'm just wondering, just like in Hollywood, because I know the strike wasn't just about AI, but now they did come up with a set of rules about using AI. Is that something we want to copy here in Europe? Do we want to create our own rules? And what would those rules be?
Well, I think we already have rules in the copyright field, and I think it's interesting to come back to the basis of copyright. So copyright or author's rights are there to protect the creativity of human beings. So the condition for copyright protection is that it's an original work made by a person. So as such, you have already a number of conditions that makes it difficult at this stage with these current rules for any AI-generated product, let's talk like that, to be copyright protected. You can have, because how you define an original work made by a human it's creative choice that are made by a person. So you can use you can use ChatGPT to propose you something, but as soon as you rewrite this, test new things, add things, you are in control of what you are doing as a creator. You are the creator. So I think these are very important conditions and criteria that today prevent, and in the US and in Europe we have the same conditions. So in the US these conditions are set when registration of copyright is compulsory in the US, while in Europe as soon as a work is created, it's protected. Then you have to exercise or enforce this protection. You have to be a bit active, but per se, it's you don't need to register your work. So in the US, these criteria are looked at the registration point, and here in Europe, it's you have to make it. I mean, for an audiovisual work, it's quite easy. So IDs cannot be protected, but a film as such is protected. So we have these rules that are very important, I think, to discuss what is original, what is creativity, what is just a product, that draws some lines. And then we have a different approach between the US and the EU on how we reward creators, how they get paid. So in Europe, authors' rights are really the source of income. I mean, the negotiation of this author's right, the transfer of right to the producer for screenwriters and directors, the contract they get for making a film is their main source of income. And in the US, in the audiovisual sector, we have to understand that screenwriters and directors are not authors as such. They are workers, and they work with what we call a work for hire contract. So they have employment contracts with the studios or the producers. And so all their conditions, working conditions and payment are dealt with in these big bargaining collective agreements that they renew every 3 to 5 years. So the Screenwriters Guild just made a deal after a long strike. The actors are still on strike. And the focus of this discussion are really job protection from a screenwriter's perspective. So AI was part of the discussion, but it was not the focus. The main issue was about payment, working conditions, how many writers in the room for TV show, what payment for a day of work, do we get money when the work are exploited on platforms, what are the thresholds, does it cover foreign exploitation? So these were very much in the focus. And so from what I understand from the Screenwriters Guild agreement on AI, they mainly aimed at protecting job. So screenwriters can use AI, but screenwriters cannot be replaced by AI. So producers can discuss with screenwriters so that they use AI. It's a conversation they can have. Screenwriter can take the initiative to use AI if they want, but they cannot. Their tariff cannot be reduced because they have used AI, and they cannot. And the producer cannot replace a screenwriter by AI. So for me, that's the main win that they got in this agreement.
Well, actually, it's 4 rather short points, so I'll just read them out loud so everyone knows what the agreement was about. So, number 1, AI can't write or rewrite literary material, and AI-generated material will not be considered source material under the MBA, meaning that AI-generated material can't be used to undermine a writer's credits and separated rights. Second point, a writer can choose to use AI when performing writing services if the company consents and provided that the writer follows applicable company policies, but the company cannot require the writer to use AI software when performing writing services. Third, the company must disclose to the writer if any materials given to the writer have been generated by AI or incorporate AI-generated material. And the fourth point, the Writers Guild of America reserves the right to assert that exploitation of a writer's material to train AI is prohibited by MBA or other law. Well, the last thing is also quite interesting, but to be honest, like reading this and knowing that they were on strike for so many months, I know not just about this, but also about this, I felt it to be a bit underwhelming. No? Bram?
Yeah, as Cécile already said, that wasn't the main issue, so that's the reason why it's a bit underwhelming probably. But with AI, it's clearly that the guild saw it as a tool that can be used by screenwriters. So it's a tool, can be useful, but they want to produce some, like I said in my intro, generate some crappy treatment and say, okay, this is the base material, so now you're rewriting it instead of creating it. So it's really about getting paid and getting paid the right amount and getting the right credit on the writing and preventing from abuse from other parts that claim the creativity that isn't really the creativity there.
Yeah, but what's interesting about that, and you also pointed to that, Cécile, is that, and also several judges in the US have also ruled that way, like what AI writes cannot be copyrighted. So that basically renders it, well, not useless, but it doesn't have any value, because if you base a film on an IP that you don't own because it can't be copyrighted, it's pretty valueless for let's say Warner Brothers or Netflix. But, and that's where apparently you two differ, because from the moment a human writer starts working on it, that copyright does transfer to him. So in your scenario, I mean, the copywriter, the first one working on it, would still be the one owning the credit?
Yeah, that depends. The first thing is, how do you know it's been created by AI? That's the first problem.
Someone has to have written. I mean, there has to be like one person.
Yeah, but you can't. If a producer comes and it tells you this has been written by another screenwriter, but it was written by an AI system, you can't prove it. You can't read it and say, okay, no, this was written by. So I think there's a basic problem. You can't. It's impossible to. No, it's not impossible. It's really hard to check if text is written by an AI system. So so you can't say it has no copyright value. If I let ChatGPT create a treatment or a concept for a series, and I do some editing on it, and I claim I deposit it at Sabam, and I say I've written it, nobody is going to be able to prove it was created by ChatGPT. So there's a bit of a disconnect between what's the law and what's if it comes before a judge, what he can or she can decide.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, your example mean that a creator would consider that it has enough value to put his name on it. Mm-hmm. So I think that's what makes a difference. But in the US, because there is a compulsory registration, I mean, you cannot claim a work to have copyright unless you register with the Copyright Office. And here there are some checks being made, and these are some of the decisions we have heard about, that some paintings, some photographs were refused because the authors said that they used AI to produce it. And one of the recent entrants to Paradise, which is a painting, not really a painting, but I mean, generated by a computer, let's say. Stefan Thaler, who put the recent entrance to Paradise to the Copyright Office, was the inventor of the AI system, and he wanted, in fact, the copyright to be given to him as the developer of the system. So there are some attempts to trick the rules so that it's not the author that get the copyright, but the inventor. So all his battle of this guy is really to get the capacity to have the work generated by his system to be copyrighted, so he would be the owner. I think it's different from a creator who would work with AI as a tool, and we work a bit and consider that the result is good enough that he would put his name on it. So the credit thing, I think for in Europe is a quality check in a way. You don't if it's good enough and that you want your name to being put on it, it means that it has some value. Your credibility as an author is at stake.
But so basically, Lore's film is still very much copyrighted, owned by Lore, not ChatGPT.
For your film?
Yeah.
Well, she's the director, so
yeah,
she's...
but not the screenwriter. So the story is not owned by her, but the film is.
But in this case, I think if you have registered your work somewhere with a collective management organization? No.
No, for me here it was like what you also said, like you have to be, as a writer, I didn't want to put my name here, like written by Lore. I don't want that. So that's why I'm very open about it. It's not, I think you're right.
I mean, you can say it's written by ChatGPT, but ChatGPT being not a human, it has no consequence. So, and as the director, you are in the end the copyright holder, I would say.
Yeah, and what I do think what's important is that I, as a filmmaker, I did the concept. I thought of the concept, and I think that's something that we need to be aware of. There still need to be people that think like, okay, this is the world that we're living in. This is the subjects that are touching us at this moment. This is important to talk about, and then take the initiative to make something. And then you can use all these tools, but there need to be people to like initiate something. And we will still need them also, because we were earlier talking about, like, you can ask ChatGPT to write in the style of Tarantino, in the style of Yorgos Lanthimos, but if we stop having these kind of people to base things on, then we are nowhere. So I think we will still need people who take initiative, who have their own creative ideas, their own unique style to start from, because otherwise it will stop somewhere, I think.
David, I feel you want to say something.
Yeah, I'm sort of dreaming of a sort of future movie making machine, maybe, that would be interesting to sort of think about, in the sense that, it is, first of all, a very difficult discussion, like where do you draw the line? What is creative input? And so what if you had like Facebook creating some kind of movie making machine, and as an input it takes all your interests, it takes what's happening in the daily news, right, what people, the zeitgeist as they say, are interested in right now, and that machine is able to turn that into some kind of creative movie, show that to you. And of course, Facebook being Facebook, they have some kind of social elements, and then you can say like, oh my god, this is an amazing movie, I'm going to through some internal monetization screen make it available to all my followers, and then they can watch my movie. Is that, there is zero creative input, you're simply watching the movie and saying, damn, that's a good movie. Should you then be considered a screenwriter for these purposes?
Well, I think it's very important. It's not because it's not copyright protected that it has no value as such. And there are other ways to protect commercially a product. So I think the rush to absolutely get copyright protection is a bit overestimated, I think. And I've truly believe that copyright protection should be reserved to human creators. So it's not because it would not be copyright protected that it would add no value. I think that would be my answer. And at the moment, I'm afraid that too many people want copyright protection for things that have nothing to do with human creativity. That's my take.
Because even David, I'm going to come back to you for a second. Having been in AI, not just in the entertainment industry, but just the AI industry, and as an IT guy, not being able to copyright what AI creates, maybe instead of that being a disadvantage, it can also be a huge advantage.
Yeah, that was my concern, right? If we make copywriting too vague or too difficult in order to deal with, a lot of them might simply say like, okay, let's just abandon it completely. Maybe there's going to be some kind of future movie scene in which making iterations on somebody's work is considered completely normal, right? That's just the state of affairs. So you like an author, you take his movie and you give like a unique twist or unique visual element to it, and then bam, that's completely fine. So guessing where this is going to go in the future is sort of hard to determine.
But I guess it's also the same in other industries that use AI already thoroughly. Or let's take, for example, the health and tech, biotech industry. But that can, those are industries where a lot of money is involved, maybe even more money than in the entertainment industry. So isn't that also a problem for them, that what they are creating using AI is just really difficult to copyright?
Yeah, I think I don't know tech as a sort of global sort of thing. I work in a startup, which is a very small scale affair compared to, the Googles and Amazons of this world. But yeah, there's always been this sort of opinion that we're just going to build it, right? We're not going to care about, the legal stuff and how it's going to be copyrighted and stuff like that. Just build it, just put it out there. And then if you're the first and if you have a superior product compared to everybody else, it doesn't matter if they steal the copyright, as long as, they don't turn it back on you and sort of wrestle you out using legal affairs. Thank God I've never been a victim of that. But that, as long as that doesn't happen, you're completely fine. But once again, I'm in a very naive perspective here, coming from a small startup, never having to deal with these kinds of legal affairs before.
Okay, I'm going to ask one more question, and then I'm going to go to the room and ask if any of you have any questions. But the fourth point of the deal that the Writers Guild of America now made with studios, I'm just wondering, like, isn't it already too late? I mean, the thing that, AI is able to write a screenplay because it has been fed so many screenplays, so many movies, illegally, of course, because they never paid for any copyright, which is, of course, very bad. But, I mean, it's done. It happened. Like, you can't turn it back. So you can now say that, well, you can't use Poor Things anymore because, we're going to see to it that it doesn't happen. but it has already happened with thousands of movies. So what?
Can I add a small controversial statement?
Oh, sure.
Right? Should you pay for every movie you've watched if afterwards you also create movies yourself? If you've ever been inspired by a movie, right, and no matter how many years ago, should you then pay for that experience, having had that experience when you make something yourself? Because we as humans don't create stuff from a vacuum. Right, we live our entire lives, we consume media, and then some people are creative enough to take that collective experience and make something new. But just like an AI system illegally steals, I'm using a lot of quotes here, but illegally steals this media. All it's doing is sort of watching it. It's not able to remember it completely. These models are too small in order to keep all the data that they're being fed with. So they have some sort of internal representation, just like we humans do, and then they're able to produce new stuff, just like we humans are able to do.
But they didn't pay for the first movie we did.
So you just have to pay for the ticket, just once, right?
Yeah,
okay.
But there's a difference there, and it can be undone. There are some court cases in US from authors. They said the system used my material illegally. It's in the system, you can't take it out, but if the court cases are won, it would mean that OpenAI should redo everything again, refeed the system with only the open source material that they used. So it can be undone. I don't think it will be undone, but in theory it can be.
But so in your opinion, I can take my Wachteenzeven DVDs, show it to my AI system using a webcam or something. I already paid for the DVDs themselves, right? Show them just like I would show my family members, and then use that to create some kind of new, I'd rename it, of course, don't worry, but create some sort of inspired work based on Wachteenzeven with similar wacky characters.
You can try that. It doesn't work like that, but I think Cécile has more legal foundings.
Let's ask the lawyers.
Yeah. Well, I think there is a very big contradiction in AI, the AI industry, because at some point you can see that they all want to have their production being copyrighted, but they don't recognize the copyright protection of the training data that is training the data. So at some you see the contradiction. It's really obvious. So copyright is a standard of quality. We all understand that. If you have copyright protection, it means that your product has value and it's recognized as such. But what is happening today with it's theft of the copyright works that are used to train data without authorization. It's a massive theft that is really difficult to understand, and that's why there are some class action in the US and big battles taking place, and the writers of books are really in the front line on this. I have the feeling that audiovisual works as such are a bit less in the AI machine, but because access to the works is more difficult. But I've heard that some pirate websites are used by AI developers to train their AI on audiovisual works. So it's not just books; it's also pirate websites. And it's I think that's the big issue today. It's the use of copyright protected works as training data for this without authorization, without remuneration, without even information. Nobody knows. They don't. The AI developers do not explain what they have used. They hide that, and because there is a rush to the success, and they want to be the first one with the best data. So for me personally, in my profession, I don't feed the beast. I don't use the AI tool, for example, ChatGPT, because every information you put in it is training the data. So
and of course, legally, you're absolutely right. It is theft legally, but my question, I guess, in the beginning was, can something still be done about it? Like you tend to believe there might still be like a way to push Control Alt Delete and start over again, but maybe that's a bit naive.
Well, I think damages were done, but it doesn't mean that it cannot be punished in a way or paid. And we need to set, there are a lot of people who are convinced that AI tools are good for the future and that we need to have good data sets with copyright protected works in it. It's just that it has to be authorized, it has to be negotiated, it has to be paid. So some authors would be happy to nurture those data, but it has a price. So I think it's not fair to say that it's not a use. I mean, when works are used to train the AI, in a way, it's an exploitation of the works. It's a reproduction of the works. Call it as you want. There are legal terms for that, but at the same time, we are all understanding that it's training the AI in a way that it's the basis for the AI system to be interesting. So this has a value, and this should be paid, and this should be authorized. So nowadays, there are a lot of discussion and I think AI developers should be interested in having better data sets for their training. So, for example, you have in France some collective management organization who are clearly saying you need my authorization for the use of all the works that are in the repertoire of the collective management organization, and we can negotiate with developers.
Okay. Does anyone have a question? Is anyone really mad at Deevid, for example? I'm guessing there's a lot of people from inside the industry here. So yeah, over there. We have a mic coming your way.
Test. Oma voor Johannes.
Hello. Hi. So I actually have two questions. So I feel like AI is here. It's happening. This feels a bit like the Far West at the moment. So maybe I'm thinking of there should be ways to regulate what's happening now. My first question, I think it's a challenge how to distinguish human writing from AI writing. So maybe it's interesting to make it obligated to have some kind of a water brand in it. That's my first question. I think it's technically possible, so maybe that should be regulated. And my second question, coming from a screenwriter's point of view, should we have some kind of similar agreements with producers here in Belgium as like what's happening in USA?
Okay, maybe Bram, you can take this one. I mean, have there been already talks with producers here in Belgium or Europe?
In Belgium, not that I know of. We have sometimes we have meetings with producers, with the Screenwriters Guild, the Directors Guild, and sometimes the Actors Guild, but they're always postponed and they're still stuck in other agreements that we need to cement with them. So AI should be on the list of our next meeting, but I'm afraid that the next meeting will be in 2024. So, in the rest of Europe, I don't know.
You know the speed at which AI is developing right now, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and maybe, well, the first question, so the thing about watermarking, or I mean, is that something, can it be done? Do we want it to be done? Because I mean, I'm guessing in the future, at some point, we will all be using AI to do certain things, and then it's a matter of like, oh, we use it like 20%, so we don't need it watermarked, but we use it like 30%, and now it has to be watermarked, or Deevid?
So yeah, from a technical perspective, they are definitely working on this. So I know the scientist who is assigned with basically the words that are being generated by ChatGPT can get a certain color, so to speak. It only works on sufficiently large amounts of text. You can't look at a single sentence and know whether it's AI written or not. Okay, is this you wouldn't never know. So it works on sufficiently large pieces of text, but there is one critical vulnerability. So you basically have two options then. Either you have a public validator, something that you can just download, something that you can have yourself and basically let loose on a bunch of text, and it says, this is AI written or this is not AI written, and we understand how it works. But if you do that, you immediately open up the gates for a secondary machine learning system that uses that component to basically de-watermark your text. So as long as you can have a system that can be used and taught to a machine learning system, it becomes useless immediately. The alternative is that we keep the validator secret, but then you basically give away a lot of power. It's a very weird thing to sort of trust a party, like, is this something that we can trust or not? Please verify for us and let us know. Would we want something like that just in the hands of OpenAI? They would probably charge you a little bit in order to use that technology. So either option is sort of, you know, it's not a said and done deal. It's definitely something that might be possible, but it's also something that would be easy to circumvent. Because once again, this is OpenAI technology, but similar. OpenAI, very confusing name, but they keep everything closed. They don't have their technology open like the rest of the world. But next to that, we have open source AI systems, large language models that can do similar things, but not as well. They are not limited by, you know, this sort of validation requirement. So they might just create something that is completely uncensored, unwatermarked for people that might use it for the bad purposes. So it's a difficult subject, really.
All right. I think we have time for one more question. Oh, here, in the front.
Maybe in the meantime, I can just answer
Absolutely.
from a legal perspective. There are discussions at the moment at EU level on the Artificial Intelligence Act that is talking about the ethics, the liability for the development of AI systems. And this is the transparency and the labeling of AI output is part of the discussion. And there are lots of calls to have this transparency. So if you are a user, for example, talking to a system online, a chatbot, you as a user, the legislation will say, the user has to know that he's talking to a robot. And also, I think this is something that will be made mandatory at some point, that AI developers will have to say when the product is the result of AI. And whatever the technique can undo that, this is the liability of the AI developers.
Of course, the question is, and I'm going to go to you. The question is then, will people care?
Mm-hmm.
Will people care?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think so. People care if they talk to. Sorry. Yeah, I think people want to know.
Yeah, no. I know that they want to know, but if an AI chatbot is helping me as good as, actually maybe even better, because he will pick up the phone in less than half an hour. So if he's helping me, then why would I?
As soon as you know, it doesn't mean that you are prevented to use it. It's just you know.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you. It's a very interesting topic, and but I have it's not a question, but what Cécile said about jobs being lost in future. I'm a multicam director, so that means studio work. And for instance, when I want to do this panel, I need 6, 7, 8 cameras would be great. What's happening now, we use systems like QPilot, and with AI, imagine today all cameras are live. So all my 7 cameras are live, not like in the early days, I call one, take one is on, red light is on. No, all 8 are on. What we use with AI is that we can have in the QPilot system face detection and your life, how you react. So we can see what is the interaction between you. in a subject, in a talk. But that means that me as a director can have the Q-pilot system make the decisions. And that will happen in 3, max 5 years. So that the profession of multicam directing for live events is great, will be great. But imagine also with classical music, you put the partiture in the Q-pilot system and the cameras will automatically have the violin and so on and so on. So it's great. And as a director, I'm still a director, so we have in Holland the VFAM, so I will get my copyright. But directing is then just sitting and watching what's happening. But thanks, it's very interesting, your talk.
Okay. Do you have one last question? Okay, 2, and then we're gonna take a small break. So 2 questions.
Hi, thanks. I'll address my question to Cécile as it's regarding the copyright. It's actually a simple question. Do we as a European Union, do you think we are strong enough to talk and make agreements with companies like OpenAI regarding copyright agreements as the collective management societies? As it's already difficult to talk with streaming platforms like Netflix and so on. Will our voice be loud enough to talk with them?
You have a very good point. And in addition to that, we have a weakness in Europe. It's that in the copyright directive from 2019, which is a very good piece of legislation, and don't take me wrong, this directive has an exception for text and data mining that, we call it text and data mining, is to treat a big mass of information and to build prediction, correlation, etc. So when it was discussed in 2019, nobody had ChatGPT in mind. But nowadays, there are a lot of people who say, well, no, it covers AI. It was not in the mind of the legislator, but it covers AI. So there are some people claiming that our legislation allows this kind of scrapping the internet with all the material, including copyright protected works, to feed the AI system. So that's our main weakness that we have to address today. So there are already a lot of organizations saying, well, we do not consider that this exception should apply to AI, and we want the basic principle of copyright to apply, so authorization and negotiation. This would put our organization, representative organization of authors, in a better negotiating position with AI developers. So, and the only way this exception can be used today is because there is the possibility to opt out, that on an individual basis for an author is impossible to really exercise. So that's why I mentioned earlier that some organizations that represent a repertoire nowadays are starting to say, well, we collectively exercise an opt-out, and if you want our authorization, we have to negotiate. So this is the leverage that those organizations are claiming. And I just mentioned French organization, but it's the same, I think, in Germany. GEMA is also claiming that the repertoire they are using, in particular in music, cannot be used without their authorization. So this is really the big discussion at the moment. And you're right, in the streaming environment, we are very weak because there is no harmonization of the rules in Europe on that system. And with AI, we are a bit on the same basis, but we first have to fight against this exception. So it might be a bit more complicated, except that I think among the creative people and among the cultural sector, there is more awareness of the danger, and so more action is in preparation, let's say.
All right, final question. Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Niels. I'm a director, and congratulations on Tweede Zit, Bram. It's very exciting. I do think it's exciting to talk about a topic we don't really know about. It's very fresh, these questions and the things you're talking about. And while we were having this panel, I was thinking about the words that are being said, like perfection, moving forward, AI is improving. So if we talk about screenwriting, improvement in screenwriting, what does it really mean? And my question is for Deevid. In my opinion, the real danger is in human behavior and AI understanding human behavior. Because, of course, screenwriting is telling stories about what we feel and things that are mirrored through stories, and we understand ourselves as a human better by what we see and what we read. So the real danger of AI understanding humans, and it's more bigger than only screenwriting, of course. I think we're really fucked if AI understands how we think. But what is the AI, how improved is AI in understanding that? And we have ChatGPT for text, and we have the dubbing systems and everything. Is there something on that topic
Amazing.
that we should be afraid of?
I think about this as well. What is improvement when it comes to creativity, right? Right now, we use a pretty imperfect metric, which is basically asking a bunch of people, 1 to 10, what do you feel? The human evaluation index or something like that it's called. It's like a standard benchmark that all of these new language modeling systems go through. And it's basically using Amazon Turk. I don't know if this is familiar technology, but basically you can think of whatever task somebody can do through their computer. You can upload a job to the platform. And then there are people who are basically, doing these kinds of micro jobs, like, is this a picture of a dog or a cat? And they click the cat or dog. So everything that uses like human evaluation uses stuff like Amazon Turk to ask a bunch of people, what do you think, right? So they do this with output of machine learning systems. So even large language models, they basically ask a bunch of people, like, this is the input, this is the output, 1 to 10. How good do you think it is? But of course, this is a sort of imperfect metric, right? There is a lot of criticism, even in academic AI circles, like how well can we trust, just random people, asking random people, how well do you think this thing works? So there is a sort of fundamental limitation right now, that we cannot directly grasp what human goodness is just yet. But then now we're entering sci-fi areas completely. But then you have like Elon Musk's company called Neuralink, which is involved in having a better link between our computers and our human brain systems, right? There's a lot of sci-fi on if we ever tap into, the center, if we ever make a machine that is able to measure how much do you like this on a sort of objective real-time level, then the world is going to change completely, because then you can get into some kind of feedback loop, right? You could have TikTok. We can see this in TikTok, right? This is the perfect, like interaction machine. This is the latest and most, best, the best rendition of such a machine that sort of uses all the signals, how long we look at a certain video, which videos we like, in order to sort of determine on an abstract level, what do you like? And so getting to the core of that is a very important assignment for AI right now. There's a lot of money involved in it. And so it's coming, right? It's coming. More perfect systems, more attentive systems that use cameras, that use, the movement of your pupils when you're watching something in order to truly gauge what do you like, really. And then that's going to be used to feed all kinds of generation systems in the future, I'm sure. It's maybe a bit dystopian kind of, but you know, I'm not talking, you know, 50 years away. This is technology that will become feasible quite soon, I believe.
I'm not sure if I need to say on this sad note or on this exciting note, but anyway, on this note, we will end this panel. Thank you very much to my panel. Please give them a big applause. And we will be back talking about the artificial actor in about, let's give everyone 20 minutes to take a break. So 4:20, we'll be back here to talk about the artificial actor. Okay, welcome back. Before I forget, at the end of the day, which will be in about an hour, I promise, we will be announcing the winners of the Streams Academy, who will get one step closer to writing a TV series, and the winner of the Visser Neerlandia Prize for the best script that hasn't found a producer yet and was not Pinky Promise written by AI. And time now for our second panel in collaboration with PlayRight Plus, the artificial actor. Please welcome back your good friend, technology strategist Deevid de Meyer, if he's here. Yeah. Right in front of me, yeah. Okay, Secretary General of the Society of Audiovisual Authors, Cécile Despringre. She's here as well. Okay. And I also have some fresh faces. Voice actor and director Liesbeth de Wolf, screenwriter Alain van Goethem, actor Darya Gantura, and actor, director, and songwriter Nathalie Stas. Okay, we're going to do another quick introduction round. Deevid, I'm going to skip you, Cécile as well. So maybe, Darya, you want to go ahead and start?
Yes. So I'm Darya. I'm an actress. I'm also on the board of Actors Guild and PlayRight. I don't know if you know PlayRight. PlayRight is the society of the collective management of neighboring rights. Is that zoiets, Alain?
For actors and musicians.
Yes, for actors and musicians. So yeah.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Welcome, Nathalie. I'm gonna go over to you.
Yes, hello. I'm a French spoken actress. I'm part of UVR. Is a union of association, guilds, and unions for actors from the worldwide, from all the world. It's about 30 countries in that association, and we are UVR exists for the protection of the artist, of the spoken voice. For the EA. And we founded also Belva. It's a French and Flemish association that's a part of the UVA, but here in Belgium for have a politic and media work for the protection for the actors.
All right, thank you. So welcome back, Cécile. Liesbeth?
Yes, hello. I'm Liesbeth Wolf. I'm a voice actress and a voice director. And I do this since I was a child. So it's whole my life that's maybe going to disappear. And I'm really concerned about all this stuff. So
She's also part of Belva.
Yeah, also part of Belva, a kind of Juva. I'm really into the rights for the artists and the dubbing scene. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see what we can do about your concerns.
Thank
Alain?
you.
So my name is Alain van Goethem. You introduced me as a screenwriter, which unfortunately I'm not, but I'm an actor. I'm a talent agent, and I'm the vice president of PlayRight.
I'm sure you would write great screenplays with ChatGPT. Now let's also start this panel with a big question. Who here believes AI will be able to replace actors, and when will that happen? Alain.
Could you repeat that question once
So,
more?
who here believes AI will be able to replace actors, and when will that happen?
So actually, I think we would be surprised how the technology is already advanced and what is already possible. I recently heard when I was visiting the Cannes Film Festival that actually it would be possible for AI to make an extra season of Friends because it has enough content. So the technology is something we shouldn't be afraid of. It only should be regulated. That is the problem. It's not regulated. And of course, most of the people here in the industry, we're concerned about this. But the thing is, they are approaching younger people. I recently heard during an industry event of equity that during the lockdown, 20% of the American models had their body scanned for video games. And they actually signed an agreement not knowing they signed it that it will be used in perpetuity for the rest of their lives. So it's making people conscious of actors, models, that we need an extra clause. And I believe our legal department of PlayRight is working on that it should be added to certain contracts to protect younger actors, because I'm 50 years old. I know we have to be careful, but younger people, especially with TikTok, Instagram influencers, they are contacted through social media and they are made offers and they say, oh yes, okay, I'm gonna be famous. And they sign these things, but afterwards it's too late and the damage has been done, unfortunately. So voila.
All right, David, I saw you nodding twice about the new Friends season. Will that actually be possible? And then also about the bodies of models.
There is already a Twitch channel out there called Nothing Forever, which is basically an eternal episode of Seinfeld. Which is being repeated over and over. And so it's not photorealistic. They use some kind of AI-supported director, and it uses very primitive 3D graphics. So we're not to the point of replacing, actual photorealistic images with AI yet, but this is the number one saying in AI, never say never, right? It's coming, it's a matter of time, it's not impossible to completely replace these images. So yeah, new season of Friends, easy, sometime soon. I'm sure this is going to happen. And then, yes, exactly. The question about actors now signing away their rights, not knowing that they will be used in perpetuity. But this is, I believe, a sort of temporary problem in the sense that now we still care about certain people and we want to copy their likeness and then sort of use that forever. But nobody's going to care about Brad Pitt in 50 years, right? In 50 years, there's going to be a thing on the news like Brad Pitt has died, and then the old people are going to be like, oh, wow, that guy, yeah, he used to be very famous back in the day. So for me, there is definitely even a future where AI actors are simply going to be AI from the start. They're not going to be based on anybody. So it's sort of a temporary thing. We already have YouTube channels that are completely driven by an AI persona. So in the future, this is a very important discussion. You don't want people to sign away their body rights or their rights to any part of their human being without knowing it. But in the future, it simply won't be necessary to have this permission. They will simply use something completely AI generated.
That sounds like even worse news than someone just using your likeliness for. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to say that like the AI. Actually, we're all guilty about it. Everyone is doing this 90s challenge on Instagram, because everybody wants to see what they looked like in the 90s when they were in college. But actually, you are feeding the AI with all these images, and then it has enough images to create someone which is not real, but it's supposed to be the perfect heartthrob. And then that is a possibility. Of course, I believe that there will always be actors. I mean, people will want to see real people they can meet in real life. But it is something that is actually happening, and things have to be regulated. That is the problem. And if we have to wait on our politicians, it will take forever. So we need to start using something in our contracts ourselves, because by the time we regulate something, the technology is already way advanced.
of course, I mean, I want to, I mean, again, somewhat playing devil's advocate, but it's not like your average Joe can actually meet Brad Pitt at a certain point in his life. So the thing about you want someone there that you can actually meet is maybe nice when we're talking about Michael Bos, but I mean, not really when we're talking about Brad Pitt or Naomi Campbell or anything. So does it then really matter to a larger audience that, you know, they exist or not?
I'm going to say so. I think it's important for those person to know if that's the real person they see. So I think it's some argument to let the actors play themselves and do not copy them now. If you say when they die in in several years and they come back, that's something else. But also, you said, I think everyone wants to see persons, actors, but do they also want to hear them? That's my business. It's a dubbing thing. I think it's very important that the persons stay, that the actors stay acting. It's something. It's in an animation, if you take away the acting part, you take away the only human part in animation. And that's why animation is so funny, because it's like, you got an orange and he's talking like you're dead, you know? And I think for our children and for the adults of the future, it's important that everybody knows what's real and what's fake. So I think that it's important,
David,
I think maybe as a dubber, you are in a very interesting spot, right, when it comes to that, because in the future, we'll be able to choose, do we want Brad Pitt speaking perfect Flemish?
No.
And doing his performance with all his qualities and you know, tone of voice and stuff like that? Or are we really going to hire a local person to make like, and this is animation movie, right? If we go to France, we do this even for live action movies, right? Dubbing over that. That's really something that feels, you know, like an inferior compromise, if I may, right? We can't have the English actors speaking French. If you would leave it to France, they would most definitely want that, right? Teach French to Brad Pitt and then he do a second version in French. In the future, this will be perfectly possible.
Yeah, but now when there's a movie coming up in the cinema, sometimes they ask for star talent. Then there are known persons that from that country who does the role, and my question isn't then possible that the actor of that country stay playing his role, and that the AI is implanted, but in another way, like the animation is following the lip sync. That's another point of view, but I think then you can create more jobs by putting an IA technician on the projects, and then the actors keep doing what they are doing. Now it's the other way around. We are losing our jobs, and it's very nearby. There are projects now in Brussels, in French part, with IA, and they are leaning their voices, but their voices are in the data bank, and do they have job in the future?
But that's of course, that's two different things. Like, do they have a job in the future? It's important for people to have jobs. At the same time, let's say The Lion King, for example. If you could take James Earl Jones's voice and transform that to Dutch, honestly, I think that from just the perspective of like a spectator, that would be magical.
Yeah, as a casting director, I think it will be great if sometimes if I think, okay, I must match a very known voice of America, and I don't find it in Flanders, so I really have to search for it. And then I think, if you can manipulate the voices, but no, it's my job. It's really my passion. My profession is my passion, and you know, each language, okay, AI, it will do everything, I know, but I hope we're not there yet. So yeah, it would be great, but it's not my, no.
Yeah, well, first Alain, and then we're going to go to...
For voice actors, it's really a problem because the technology is already, I mean, there are plenty of apps on Instagram, you get the publicity and you can see yourself real-time lip sync in another language. I mean, it's happening. But about the image, the problem is, for example, in the US, one of the reasons they're striking, the main reason is, of course, they're not making enough money, but because 86% of the 160,000 members don't make $26,800, which means they don't have health insurance. So that's the main reason. The second reason is it's because they are using actors as background. They're using artificial intelligence. In the US, it's a very different system because you have to be a member of the Screen Actors Guild. In order to become a member, a lot of them start with background acting. If you take that away, they can never become a member of the Screen Actors Guild, except, of course, the bigger stars when you get a main role. But that's what most of the actors do to become a member of the Screen Actors Guild. You have to play in a Screen Actors Guild production, but in order to play in a Screen Actors Guild production, you have to be a member. So you keep turning around. So one of the reasons to do that is starting as a background actor. If you take that away, you take away their profession. Yeah, that's what I wanted to say.
Can I say something about that? Because it's not, indeed, it's not like in America that you start as an extra and then you grow. But in fact, if you think about it, if the most of the actors are replaced by AI, then even if there are real actors, then I mean, they had to be real actors. And it's already a very, very uncertain profession. I'm from the Actors Guild, and we did a survey this year to see how many actors worked as an actor professionally, and not commercials or other stuff, but theater and television. So, and the survey showed us that the average was very, very sad. Yeah. It was in 2022, the average actor worked 35 days in theater in a year and 4 days in television or film. Yeah. So that's already kind of sad, you know? Yeah. So if you put away the commercials, which are gonna be done by AI, like dubbing and voice acting, which is certainly gonna happen. I know we're all, yeah, but it's gonna happen. I asked once. Sometimes I do a commercial, like in a studio, like all of the actors do, and I asked the guy, the technician / the director, when are we gonna be replaced, and when? And he said, like, in 2 years, I don't need you anymore. Uh-huh. So that's done. So what, so what we gonna do to survive? If we don't have that on the side, like the commercials, if we don't have the commercial things, because these things are first to be replaced by AI, then it's only art. That's only like cinematographic art or art of dubbing, but also not all the dubbing, like nice movies when you can, like, you know, I did also dubbing, and sometimes it's just fast. And also very commercial sometimes. It's not always you have time to put your creativity in. Sometimes it's just fast, and those things are going to be replaced for sure. So if you don't have that anymore, then you have to survive as an actor. And then financially, I mean, and then who's gonna study that? Who's gonna be that? Who's gonna invest your time and your money and your resources into be something that it's actually almost like a very rare. It's like, you know, it's gonna exist. Real acting, I'm sure that, like the vinyls are existing now, people having vinyls, you know, because it's You have digital things, and then and directors are making films on film, like in pellicule. So it does exist, but what percentage of that? So who's gonna do that as an actor if you don't have the certainty that you can do that? Then it's a hobby, and then I think the talent. I mean, the fact that, of course, there is a lot of worth in that to be acting, like that the role is being acted by a real person, because you use your life experience. AI cannot do that. AI maybe can train and mimic very, very good, but I think to put your soul, to put your life experience, to put also these little things that can go wrong on the set. We all know on the set, if something you do, or on theater or whatever, you do something wrong, and then that's very interesting because it's not normal, because that's off, and that works. That makes it creative. That you're gonna lose probably, and I completely lost the thread, but I mean, you have to have these people to have these kind of things, and who gonna invest so many years of studying, and you have to have experience in acting and to grow, and then if you cannot do that, that will be a loss. Because I think you said authenticity will always be important. Who is the real person for us? I think our children will not care. No. Because they will not know any. Because sometimes I have a 3-year-old, what he's watching is just so, like, he doesn't care.
Yeah.
I was like, oh.
And then it's also a question for the AI.
AI guy.
Sure, call me the AI guy.
Yeah.
All your fault.
It's still evolving. So I'm concerned that it's still a robot. It's a computer that does things, that imitates us. Does it stop somewhere? Because you told it. The neurologics, they even don't know how our brain works. How will AI even get there? And also for our children, I'm really concerned if it starts today, that he also has to, that it also stagnates the possibility of development of his language, of his communication, of his emotions. So that's something I'm really concerned about.
So will it ever stop? No.
Okay,
so let me start by being a bit negative, and I'm going to build up to hope this time instead of drilling down each time. So it is going to evolve. It is going to become better. It is going to replace a lot of jobs, especially even the mediocre stuff is important, right? Like you say, the basic advertisement stuff, not something the big screen award winning kind of things. That's where you gain experience in order to build up to being like this amazing actor that everybody looks up to. And that's not really something that we can stop. This technology is going to keep evolving, is going to keep getting better. I've mentioned was it last time? Yes, that the real final key that we are still missing before something really blows open is to sort of tap in directly to our brains and what it means to like something. Right now, if we want to create better language models, we use Amazon Turk, it's called, Mechanical Turk, it's called, which is basically asking a bunch of people, how well do you like this output? 1 to 10. How much do you like it? But that's not perfect, right? People might dislike certain small stuff that really doesn't come to the surface, but they like the general idea. So simply rating something from 1 to 10 is sort of blocking these systems from getting better. But then you have Elon Musk working on Neuralink, which is to make a direct connection to our brains and to sort of interface between computers and our neural stuff, right? If we are ever able to tap in directly, real time, what do you like specifically? What what makes something go from good to, raising the arms on the hairs on your arms, because it's something that really resonates with you. That's, if we ever get to that point, then we're going to blow it wide open. But where I do think that we are sort of going is a sort of commoditization, if that is the correct word, to make it more public. Actually, right now, being in movies is still somewhat of an elitist industry. It's who you know, right, that can get you in the right movie and to sort of have stepping stones in your career. What if everybody in the future has a tool that allows them to make a movie, right? I can use it. I'm a complete nobody, never had any experience. I can press generate and out pops a movie. I have horrible taste. Right, my movie will not be the best movie of all times. It will be probably a good movie, maybe even better than some of the stuff that get released today, even though I had very little input. But then somebody like you with, a better sense of what is good audio visual, right? When is a voice really resonating? When does it really make somebody stand to attention and listen? You might look at 5 variations and instantly be able to pick like, this is the best version. And I've got some notes, right? There are small things that we can improve left and right. So different kinds of creative people might be able to completely out of themselves, be able to create a movie that contains their specific expertise as part of the movie, right? And then maybe release that on social media in order to become more famous. An actor is going to be less somebody that made the right career moves, but somebody that is just inherently very popular, right? They might become more influencers than the actors and actresses that we know today. So it's going to be different, but I do believe that it doesn't necessarily mean that it is the death and end of creativity and creative people. It will simply democratize it, make it more accessible to a lot of people. And that will certainly change the market, right? The competition that you have right now is going to expand a millionfold, right? Somebody in China might be able to write a movie that directly competes with the sort of art circuit, local stuff that you've got going on. It's going to be different, but I do think that the global market isn't going to decrease. There is going to be more demand for entertainment in the future, and there is going to be, even then, value in good taste. You will still be able, if you've got good taste, if you know exactly what separates the good from the excellent, then you will still be able to compete, I believe, in the global entertainment market.
I do kind of agree with you about that.
Mm-hmm.
And for the directors, it's for sure a democratization. But for the actors now, at this moment, we're fucked. So I think what Alain said, it's very important to make some rules because it's also about control of our images now. For instance, we as an actor, I don't know how many actors are in the room, but you all know, you just sign all your rights away when you sign a contract. You just transfer them. And when I did some stuff 10 years ago, I transferred my rights for the future projects, for everything. And now these projects are on streaming services, which didn't exist yet. So I just signed them for amount of money who was for sure not enough to cover all this stuff it was used for later. And I think it's important that we know AI exists and we know that future uses are even beyond our imagination, that we have to be very cautious about that when we sign a contract, that we maybe define quite precisely what we are signing for, and also we gain information, because these are actors. It's like, oh yeah, of course I want to work because there is not a lot of work, so I just I do it for forever. If I can do it for free, even, give me just some food or something, not like that. For musicians, it's sometimes like that. For some drinks, free drinks, but it's another thing. But we have to kind of stand our ground. Okay, if I'm gonna be part of this project, because you cannot stop the future. You cannot stop AI. You cannot stop technology. You're gonna play with it, but you have to protect your rights, because it's also not only financial. You're gonna be screwed, like you work a day to be scanned, and then it's for eternity. But also, it can be offensive. You're gonna play like in some porn neo-Nazi movie slaughtering babies, and you cannot do anything about it. Okay, it's an extreme example, I know, but but it's just it can be something that you're not standing behind. So before you do something, it's also, I think, there are a couple of managers in the room. We have to think very good about how to because there is no legal basis on a European level at this moment. So you have to read your contract, and you have maybe to rewrite your contract. And I know that the actors have not a very strong position at this point to rewrite your contract, but we have to maybe unite somewhere and yeah. Think that's a really good ground for thinking.
Okay, Alain?
There are actually some really big Hollywood stars who already have their own avatar, and their agent arranged it, so the avatar can go to set. They don't have to anymore, and they still get money. So this is already being arranged, but it's only for the really big Hollywood stars. Of course, they don't give their knowledge away about what is in the contract, but again, our legal department is looking at something we can ask to add in our contracts, because as you said, there is written that any technology still yet to be invented may be used. This is quite dangerous. So we are working on it, because as we told previously, if we have to wait this to be regulated by politicians. I mean, I heard somebody say, it was a lawyer from the US, this is the biggest challenge the entertainment industry ever faced. It's artificial intelligence. It's going from the still movies to talking movies, but 10 times stronger. Yeah.
Okay.
So
I'm pretty sure that is true. At the same time, don't hate me, but I feel like a lot of you sound very, very protective of your profession, which I, of course, totally understand, but it's reminding me a bit of like video store owners in 2000 complaining about, we can't let Netflix happen, but you know it will happen, and you will become, even though if you don't even want to know, but you will become extinct. I'm not saying actors will become extinct. I'm using an extreme example, but as you point out, I mean, maybe. Like when it comes to, let's say, background actors, extras, maybe that's just a losing battle. I get your point, but maybe like that's not really worth fighting for, because it's already happening today, and maybe it's worth fighting for actors who have actual dialogue in movies.
Yeah, but it would be great if at least you get a fair remuneration. How do you say?
Money.
Yeah, if you get money when they use your image, so at least you get that. Because the problem is, it's the same battle we're fighting here in Europe as in the US. The contracts in the US are still not talking about streaming, so they get money, but not from the streaming, which is the same here in Europe. We actually had a leading role here in Belgium with the DSM directive, but of course the streamers put it to court again, and we're waiting, but they're waiting for the same answer in the US to get money for everything that is streamed, because now these streamers make lots of monies. I mean, I think it was the boss of Disney who got a bonus of 300 million over the past 3 years. And he said, well, there is no money to pay these actors. I mean, their demands are ridiculous. We don't have. So these people live on an island, on a planet, and they just want to make as much money as possible. But they don't want to pay the people whose, the faces you see on television. And it's a battle worldwide. I mean, if they will have a deal over there, it will have an effect worldwide, and we all just want to get paid for the success they have. Voila, okay. You know what she told, 4 days on an average actors worked in Belgium, then you know the reality. So it would be great to get some extra money from PlayRight, for example.
Okay. Yeah. Subtle. Nathalie?
Yeah, I wanted to say something about. I know there are some actors in the US that have their avatar, but some other actors, like for example Keanu Reeves, that completely reject the thing of the dubbing, because actors, we have micro expressions, and those micro expressions is a part of the talent. And if you change the micro expression around the mouth, for example, it's another talent. And it's also perhaps something that is dat we plat zetten zo, dat we zo de expressies plat zetten, dat we the expressions are so nothing, or a little bit not really with the soul. And I think there are two things. I think it's the soul of the human and the human culture that we have to protect also. We have our imagination and all things like that. And I think, the artificial intelligence is doing something, that is make pleasure, but it's good. But I think there's not genius. And the human genius is important also. The genius of technology is perhaps important, but... And there's another thing also. The humor, for example, that dubbing, like I'm also a dubbing actress and director. And in fact, sometimes you have products, it's not very, very, very good. In the dubbing, sometimes you can make it better, because the actors that are there are better actors than what we have on the screen, and it can be. And so sometimes there are products that are average, and they are become a little bit better because there are other humans that come there. When it's on artificial, it will be a little bit lesser or the same. And I want to say another thing. Neuropsychiatrists has made a work that they say that when artificial intelligence is working, there are feelings that don't come through. And for the children, for example, the children will have a retard. Will be late in the feelings, in the emotion, and become perhaps more and more late in those human feelings. And so I think that we have to be careful with that also.
I do feel we're back to being very protective of. I mean,
I know, but
maybe okay. But Cécile and then Deevid, I think you also.
Well, I think it's not being protective or not. It's political choice. It's a choice for the society we want to live in. It's not because technology is there that you have to open all the doors to any technology. I mean, you can already make a film with a mobile phone. Does it mean that this is what we all love and what we all watch on a big or small screen? I mean, we can have a diversity of things. The question is what choice we want to make for the society. Do we favor some technology or not? Do we consider that there is an added value with works that are made by human beings? Do we think creativity is there or not? So I think it's really I mean, let's take the situation with COVID. When we were all at home, actors were not working, and we all missed this human contact. We all missed this going out to the theater. This we valued very much at that moment, the cultural works, the human interaction, and many politicians realized at that time that the situation of artists and authors were very fragile, that if they could not make a concert or going to play in a theater, they cannot earn a living. So I think this was a very important moment for many people to realize how fragile these professions are.
And I think artificial is adding on that, and actors and voice actors, obviously, are very much on the front line, because a lot of works will be abandoned, or what they can bring will not be considered enough in a way to be kept. So, and then we come back to the personal development of any actor. It takes years. You have to go to school. You train yourself. You need to work to be better. And if a lot of work are out of reach, it's becoming difficult. So I think in this political choice, you have in a number of countries, they realized that the status of the artist was insufficient in many countries. So social security, health pension, health security, pension, etc., was insufficient. And a few countries improved the situation. In Spain, for example, it was very much with the COVID situation that they realized there was a need to really improve the situation, so that even if you work less, you still get money, because what you do is better remunerated, or the invisible work of artists is now taken into account.
But of course, now you're very much talking about things within borders, and you're working with the EU as well. But AI, the internet is very international, and I feel also my kids are sometimes watching garbage, just like your kids. Honestly, I don't think it's made in Europe. It's probably made in Asia. It doesn't really matter to them. So we can all agree on this within our borders, but it doesn't really matter in a world that doesn't have any online.
Yeah, but it's the same with kind of art, like the museums, and there is just like 1% of people who can appreciate the art. So this stuff has to be protected, and the state, the government gives money for the museums, for certain art departments who are not appreciated, or maybe like art house or things like that. But they have their value. They have to be made to. Yeah, why is it? I mean, if and of course, I mean, I'm Russian, and in Russia we not only dub everything, but we dub everything with one voice, without any emotion, and everyone is like, yeah, I don't know what's the problem. So, yeah, I watched as a kid. I watched a lot of illegal download, like illegal copied VHS cassettes with Bruce Willis talking like that, but in Russian, and also like the female, it's all one person. So, and no one's complaining, because it's just like
AI is going to make all that better.
Yeah, exactly. So I think if people are swallowing that no one's gonna complain about the moving lips who are not perfectly synced with the soul. It's not that I think it's not important. I do think it is important, because it has its value, and that's why it should be protected. You said you're very protectionistic. Yes, because it has its value. And that's what Cécile said.
I'm not only protected with actors, because a study of the Oxford University and the economist of Goldman Sachs have announced that over the next 5 years, 300 million jobs will be replaced by AI. And it's a society problem. It's what we want. Do you want to stay home and not have money for feeding our children? And the machine is replacing human. That's not what we want, and it's Terminator, it's Skynet.
Yeah, but the only way to prevent that is to prohibit AI, and that's
it's regulate. I think I completely agree. For example, with the UVR, we had we deposed a motion to the European Commission, and we asked for some things. It's a few points that we had. It's a fair consent. They said consent to what your voice is using. The compensation, so a fee that is normal for you don't have to come back. Okay, but each year your voice is will be have a fee because you did that work. It's a control. It's knowing if you have it's in front of you a human or a machine that is talking or that you are watching. And the sourcing, also the open mining from the open source of the dating, that's important to know. Okay, this voice is used with this actor, and we know that. And also the consentment for what you use for, and like you said, there are now thefts of voices of actors that heard themselves in pornographic things or fascism things, and that's not. You don't want that with your voice. And Sean Penn says something. He said, "Okay, you can take my voice, you can take my image, but you that take my voice and my image, give me the voice and the image of your children, and I give it to some guys that I know that will have some little parties, sexual parties. And well, it's not important. It's only a voice and an image." And that's shocking. And why it's not shocking when it's our job and that we are stealing our job.
No, but of course, what Deevid said in the beginning, now we're talking about Sean Penn's voice, but AI can just create a non-existing voice or a voice of a existing person. So there's no reason for the studio in perpetuity to pay for the rights to your voice, because it will just create a new one. Maybe Deevid.
But that new one is with all human existence.
Yeah, but that's another thing, of course.
Those people had to be paid. And it's not that some voice is always created by something else.
But if it's created by a million...
What if I create an app that, does something funny with your voice, right? It's a service that I offer, and you can sound like... it's a helpful thing, right? For people who are not 100% fluent in language, I create some kind of app that smooths it out and makes you sound truly professional and truly native. But if you use that, you agree that your voice data can be used to train a machine learning system. These are not artists. These are not people associated with any kind of guild. And they have agreed explicitly that if you use my app, you can use my voice in return. Fair trade, people might say. And then once again, like for now, we still care about famous people. So we still want their voices in our multimedia schemes. But once again, our children are watching already AI generated. So there are AI generated YouTube channels. So what if one of these large studio managers says like, oh, from now on, we're still going to have some famous actors. We're still going to have Brad Pitt, but he's going to have a fancy new co-author. A co-actor, and he's completely AI generated, and we're going to start using him in more and more of our movies, so he's going to be very recognizable, and over time more and more of these actors are going to get replaced. So it's sort of a losing battle to think that if I protect my rights, then my livelihood will be assured, because people will want to use my voice, my image, my likeness. While I actually guess that in the future, because it will be so easy to just generate a movie, people are not going to care. Like, why would I pay €5 to this famous actress to use her likeness? I'm just going to use something that looks a bit like her, right?
Yeah, I understand that. But like you said, all artists steal, and that's creativity. But there is a big and I agree with you. But yeah, but it is. Because you don't live in a vacuum. But there is a very big difference in between creating something with your imagination and having a property like your face, like your voice. These are things who are really, you're the owner of them.
Yes,
and
completely
that's
agree.
Stealing. And I think there must be some kind of opt-out that you have to, like, I don't want that it's been used to train AI. And of course, it's like, you install the app, you give probably a lot of you saw the Black Mirror, the episode of John the awful. It was what happened. You actually you sign, like, every time I agree to these terms and conditions, you sign a lot of things away you haven't not even aware of. And this kind of thing, like, or the 90s challenge things, so you sign it away. But I think it must be more transparency about that, because I'm okay that people give it away. If you want to give it away, then give it away. Give it away. Bon. But you have to be aware of that. There must be transparency about that. And also, if you are an actor and you don't want that your life experience, which you like by training yourself as an actor, years of that, and you don't want to give it away, there must be some kind of like opt out. Or you can give it away, but then you want a transparency about the controlling, about like what's gonna be. You transfer your rights for one production, then they're licensing it to the other things, and they're licensing to something else, and you have no idea. So, and that's about the regulating stuff, because we cannot stop the revolution. We cannot stop the technology, and it's also not a bad thing. It also can, like, we can, like Laura, the young director who was sitting in the panel before, she's right. Everyone is using it, and it can give a value to your job, not only to lose your job, but make things easier, because it's like a human thing to be scared of technology. It's been for ages, like the painters were scared of the photographs, the movies were scared of the television, and so on and so on. So it doesn't have to be like that. We can work with it, but we have to realize the value of human content and to protect that. That's what we are talking about, I think.
I do want to sort of categorically say that exact reproductions of your likeness, your voice, etc., that is definitely something that needs to be protected, right? This is something that is not okay, using your voice somewhere where you wouldn't want it to be used. But there are going to be systems that are going to be trained on a large amount of likenesses, voices, etc., and then we'll produce a voice that is not yours, not anybody's, right? There's a website you can go to now, thispersondoesnotexist.com.
But like if you make techno music or something, or some kind of music, electronic music, you use samples. You know, people play the sample, they sell it, and then you buy samples and you make your own stuff with it. So I won't maybe sell some things, but I wanted to that's a choice, you know. It's to be a choice. If you want to train AI on an actor and so many actors, so many voices, then we have to know it. We have to have control about it.
Why would you need actors to do that? It can use my voice.
Yes, but you have to have actors, because to have these emotions and to mimic this, what you said that you have to scan and to mimic the emotions, and emotions you have to.
But AI can just scan existing movies and
yes,
mimic
exactly.
those emotions with my voice.
Exactly. So how ethical is it? That's stealing. That's what I'm talking about. That's not just like creative imagination of that can. It's just you've done something, and it's your property, and that must be protected. That's a different thing. Do you understand the difference?
No. But let's say OpenAI then sells the rights from Warner's to scan all of its catalog. Then that's not illegal.
What?
Like Warner Brothers, like OpenAI pays Warner Brothers to scan its entire catalog. Then of course it's not illegal anymore.
Yeah, because Warner Brothers have the rights,
yeah,
because the authors gave it away.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but I know, and that's fucked up. But it is reality.
Yeah.
Well, it's. I mean, I don't think Warner Bros. will sell its catalog like that, and then you have a chain of rights to clear. So Warner Bros., if they have not done it yet, it's because maybe they don't have all the rights to do that. So I think it's very important that people have choice. They know what is going to do, and that AI developers understand that it's not because they are not using just one person, but plenty of them. It's the same debate as with the previous panel. I mean, if it's not because you use plenty of works to train your AI that you don't need the authorization of the authors of these works, and the same with actors. So I think it's really important, because the same, you value what is original, you value human emotion, and you want to reproduce them. That's what I understand. The objective of all this system is to reproduce human likeness and some actors, but just human thing. So as soon as this is the objective, the human actors and performers who are behind it should know it. Their consent should be taken into account, and they should have the choice.
Okay.
So this is really the choice issue, I think.
Actually, I have one last question for Liesbeth, and then we're going to go to the room. I'm sorry, because there's like a little bit of time left, but let's say, Liesbeth, hypothetical situation, which will probably happen in the future. You spend one day in the studio recording a bunch of lines, words, emotion, sounds, and at the end of the day, you get paid for it well, fairly. But would you do that? I mean, because I think that is where we're going.
Yeah, thank you for the question. I was listening, and in the previous panel, they said everyone is working with ChatGPT, they brainstorm with AI, and they create things with artificial intelligence. And if you give me the chance to work with it, I will do that. But you have to give me the opportunity to stay paying my bills and to go with them. If you can beat them, you must join them. And this is a situation that we're all in, I think. And if there are opportunities to go and work with the artificial intelligence, I will give it a shot. If it's in a legal way, if there's a law that there's a regelgeving, a regulation, and that I am sure that it comes in a database, that when other people wants to take my voice for a project, that they contact me, that they pay me, that I'm aware of it, because otherwise it's just stealing my identity. And
consent, I think.
So I will do that if it's fair paid, and if that's the kind of working with artificial intelligence in my job, then that's the way we have to go. But I prefer to sit down for hours and hours and hours to give you every gasp, every breathe, every laugh in 1,000 ways. So I will prefer that, and I can do very, very, very lot of voices. We are
Perfect.
artificial intelligence. That's the point of all this.
Thank you very much. We have time for 2 questions from the audience. So make them count, please. Yeah, we have 1, 2, perfect. 3. Okay, 3.
Okay, merci. I was following an actor in LA and during the strike, and he said that with artificial intelligence, it could be possible that as a customer you watch Netflix and you can choose to be your own main character in the movie with AI. What are your thoughts on that? And also, the actor was like, I don't think people will like that you're your own Julia Roberts, but are there any ideas about that?
Okay, maybe Alain and Darya. Go.
So maybe if I can start by doing the tech talk, right? I think this is the thing that you are going to be competing with as an industry in the future. That is hyper-personalization, right? If Facebook makes a movie engine, right, it's not going to be, the hottest new thing because it has signed, Brad Pitt, big actors and stuff, and you can use them in your movies. No, it's going to be interesting because they will create movies specifically for you, right? Not written, so not passing by a large room of screenwriters. No, made from start to finish, completely using AI, but modified exactly to your tastes. So that, I think, is going to be, the major shift as a society that we are going to see, moving from a preference of, we like to see movie stars, big people, recognizable people, towards we like to see recognizable stories, movies, things that we like specifically, tuned exactly to my attention span, 90 minutes, nothing longer than that, because afterwards I get bored or whatever. This is, I think, a major thing that is going to compete with what we have now.
Yeah, this is like I gave the example of the Friends. I received another example at the Cannes Film Festival that you get a way more personalized way of viewing movies. So if you want to say, oh, I'm going to watch Indiana Jones today, and I'll be Indiana Jones. So it's another way of movies, which is way more personalized. And this is maybe, I don't know, for some people it may be an advantage, but it's something. I mean, in the end, somebody told me, a big studio owner, it's the consumer who will decide how this goes. We can all scream and try to protect, and of course, I am here to protect. For protection, we need to protect our rights. But in the end, it's the consumer who will decide what content they want to see.
All right, perfect. Well, maybe not perfect, but we have two questions. Sorry, we have to limit it. Oh, do you still? Okay, one over there. Yes.
I have a question for Darya. I don't understand what you gain from the possibility to opt out.
So the question is, what do you gain from the possibility to opt out?
I just don't want it. I think, yeah, of course, probably there are a lot of people who don't opt out, but I think it's not, it's like, it's the same as GDPR thing. Like, the most people don't really care that they give their privacy away, But isn't it important? Yeah, no one cares, but it is important. So it's important that it does exist, So if I don't want to do that, then I have to write to opt out, and that's what I'm gaining. No, I'm not gaining. Then they're gonna miss me. No, they're probably not. But I mean, it has to be a right to opt out. That's like I have to. If I don't want to have to personalized commercials in my spam or in my box, it's my right to have that. It's my right to opt out, not to give my privacy away. That's about that, I think.
Okay, I just got the sign that I have to kill our panel. Yeah, but there's good news, because afterwards there's a reception with free drinks. And you can ask any questions you want to this magnificent panel. Please give them a big applause. And I'm actually going to have to ask you to leave because I'm going to invite two other people to the stage who will... actually, I'll let them explain what they're going to do. Please give a big applause for Ruud van Gessel and Patrice Stooyen.
Dankjewel.
Goedenamiddag. Wij gaan
goedenamiddag.
Lekker verder in het Nederlands, hè?
Ja, het is opeens Nederlands geworden. Ja. Wat we gaan doen heeft eigenlijk alles, maar ook weer niets met het onderwerp te maken. Nee. Het gaat over de uitreiking van de Visser Nederlandia-prijs voor scenario. Dat gaan we met z'n tweeën doen. Zal ik een klein stukje beginnen?
Jij begint.
Ik begin. Moet ik mijn bril opdoen? Oké. In de eerste plaats is het ontzettend leuk om hier weer te zijn. Want ik was hier 2 jaar geleden ook. En dit filmfest, dat heeft mijn en ons hart wel veroverd. Het aanbod, net zoals deze discussie vanmiddag, is geweldig. En ik hou, dan begin ik ook al, I like. Maar ik hou ontzettend van de atmosfeer hier zo. En dat is toch een beetje anders dan in Utrecht. Daar ben ik geboren, dus ik mag het zeggen. Juist, nou wat hebben we hier? Even kijken. De Vis en Nederlandia-prijs, kennen jullie die natuurlijk van naam? Ja, zeker. En voor wie niet? Het is een prijs die steeds hoger in achting komt. Het wordt steeds meer een prestigieuze prijs. Maar het is voor scenario's die nog in ontwikkeling zijn, waarvoor nog geen producent is aangehaakt, of die is nog niet in productie kan worden genomen. Dus het is eigenlijk het puur begin, maar wel een af scenario. Helemaal af. Dan is het zo dat veel van de scenario's die gewonnen hebben, die worden ook daadwerkelijk gemaakt. En één daarvan, die kunnen jullie morgen nog zien. Dat is Onder de blote hemel. Die draait hier in de Sphinx uit mijn hoofd. Die is van Lilian Seibers, maar die won de prijs in 2018. Dan zeg je, goh, waarom is die nu pas gemaakt? Moet je even de coronajaren wegtellen. En Lilian wilde hem ook zelf regisseren. Maar het is wel gelukt. Het is prachtig, een mooie familiefilm geworden. Sphinx 3 is het trouwens. En dit jaar heb ik hier opgeschreven, voor de Vis en Nederlandia-prijs, was een heel goed jaar. Daar bedoel ik mee, de 36 inzendingen waren allemaal, het is, van goede kwaliteit.
Ja, absoluut.
En dat is gewoon ontzettend leuk om te lezen. Dat is waanzinnig. 36 keer zie je al een film voor je. Maar er waren maar een paar uit Vlaanderen. En dat doet ons pijn. Wij willen eigenlijk volgend jaar gaan we de prijs weer uitreiken. Het is alternerend in Utrecht. Maar het zou wel fijn zijn als een Vlaams scenario er ook eens bij was. Of dat er in ieder geval evenwicht zou zijn tussen die inzendingen. Je kan op die website anv.nl van alles zien. Dan heb ik hier nog staan dat de jury naast mijzelf bestond dit keer uit Una Crezo, filmmaker, Patrice natuurlijk, Raf Notea, de scenarist, en Erik Taalman, voor jullie ook bekend als producent. En nog even iets extra's. Wij lezen de scenario's anoniem. Dus we weten niet wie het geschreven heeft, totdat de winnaar bekend is en de envelop open gaat. It's you.
Nou, er was er toch één die er bovenuit stak, die heel bijzonder was, die heel kwetsbaar was, die heel urgent was, die een kloppend hart had, die ook met zijn verhaal een beetje weg wou lopen van de beschaving, waar we hier vandaag toch wat pessimistische dingen over hebben gehoord, en naar de wildernis toe wou. En het gaat over een jongen, hij heet ook De Jongen, en die maakt een reis door Noord-Europa. En hij is op zoek naar iets anders. We weten niet zo goed wat, maar ik denk ook ergens dat hij wegvlucht van zichzelf. Maar als hij dan eindelijk de wildernis vindt, dan wordt hij overvallen door een zware bosbrand en moet hij tot het uiterste gaan om te overleven. Dat was de logline, alleen die sprak al wat tot de verbeelding. En ik ga nu gewoon een paar opmerkingen van de jury voorlezen. Dit scenario leest als een visuele compositie met een directe link naar de onheilspellende verandering van het klimaat. Iemand anders zei, dit heeft me heel diep geraakt, ik vind het heel sterk. Alles wordt puur met beelden verteld. Er is bijna geen dialoog in de film, in het verhaal, het scenario bedoel ik. De constante dreiging van het vuur is fantastisch geschreven. Elke scène, elke actie, elke handeling die de jongen doet, draagt bij aan de drive van het verhaal. Hij duwt zichzelf in weerwil van zichzelf steeds dieper in een put. Dit klinkt nu, er was ook af en toe echt humor, kleine humor in het verhaal. Ik was van de eerste tot de laatste regel nieuwsgierig en zat op het puntje van mijn stoel, zei weer iemand anders. ik zal jullie niet langer in spanning houden. De Visser Neerlandia-prijs voor scenario is dit jaar gewonnen door Simon Weda. En zijn verhaal heet Vuur. Hij is er.
Ik heb een hele belangrijke taak.
Oké. Wat is mijn taak?
Ik denk, misschien moeten we toch even vragen wat jouw reactie is.
Hierop heel grote dankbaarheid. Hallo allemaal. Heel grote dankbaarheid. Ik heb natuurlijk die complimenten die net werden voorgelezen hoor ik voor het eerst. Dus ik hoop dat ik die nog mee kan krijgen en kan inlijsten. Dank je zeer. Dank. Wat een genoegen, wat een eer. Wat kan ik zeggen?
Het is verdiend.
Fijn, dat is heel fijn om te horen.
Ja.
Hier is alvast de oorkonde, maar ik heb nog meer natuurlijk.
Wauw, jongens. Ja. Oh, wauw. Dank jullie zeer.
De enige echte Visser Neerlandia.
Nou.
Voor jou.
Voor jou.
Dank jullie wel, jongens. En
het is inderdaad een waanzinnig mooi scenario.
Ja.
Heel veel succes.
Heel hartelijk dank. Ik vlucht weer gouden anonimiteit in, geloof ik. Oh, dat kan nog niet.
Hele mooie woorden.
Ja, mooie woorden.
Alright. Ik heb intussen zoveel goesting gekregen om die film te zien. Ik denk jullie ook. En dan heb ik nog iemand die prijzen komt uitreiken. Rima Rijbroek.
Het is eigenlijk een prijs, maar ook niet echt een prijs. We zijn hier vandaag om de finalisten bekend te maken van de eerste Streams Academy. Zij hebben begin dit jaar de Streams Academy oproep gelanceerd. Mensen, ongeacht leeftijd, ervaring, whatever, mochten een idee voor een thrillerreeks van 4 afleveringen van 30 minuten opsturen. We hebben daar 530 plus inzendingen voor gekregen. Daar zijn 8 kandidaten uitgekozen die een half jaar eigenlijk workshops, pitch-sessies, writing weekends hebben deelgenomen. Zij hebben nu op Filmfest Gent een leuke speeddate gehad met 13 tv-producenten. Die hebben allemaal mogen stemmen op de pitches die zij het leukste, tofste, haalbaarste vonden. Voilà, wij hebben nu de eer om de 3 finalisten bekend te maken. En dat is Raoul Groothuizen, Christina Poppe voor de Best Immigrant. Jullie mogen komen. Magali Jeger met Dalton Sisters en Gail Maas met Diafragma.
Ja, ik ben nu wel misschien ook benieuwd naar... ik heb gehoord dat jullie ook hebben leren pitchen. We hebben niet veel tijd meer, dus jullie hebben elk 1 minuut een elevator pitch om jullie geweldig idee te vertellen.
Of hoe dat geweest is tot nu toe. No pressure.
Een beetje.
Ik zal anders van wal steken. Dus mijn verhaal heet Diafragma inderdaad. En Diafragma is een serie over een universiteitsstudente die in haar studententijd hier in de Overpoort na een nachtje feesten verdwijnt. Ze wordt nooit teruggevonden. Het is een cold case. En 14 jaar na haar verdwijning wordt er een oude vintage camera teruggevonden tussen haar oude kotspullen. Die foto's die daarop staan, die worden ontwikkeld. En dan blijkt dat dat allemaal foto's zijn van de nacht van de verdwijning. Waardoor het politieonderzoek terug op gang wordt getrokken. En er wordt gekeken naar wie was er aanwezig, wie staat er op de foto's, wie zou de foto's hebben kunnen getrokken en wat zou er dan gebeurd zijn met Nathalie Rousseau.
Alright.
Mijn verhaal Dalton Sisters gaat over een burlesque nachtclub waar een danseres tijdens een luchtacrobatie act haar touw knapt en ze valt naar beneden en is verlamd tot in de nek. En alle dynamieken die dat er ontstaan tussen die artiesten, het personeel en de artiesten. En ja, dat is het verhaal. Veel korter verteld.
We bevinden ons in het België van de toekomst. En de enige manier om als vluchteling naar België te vluchten is door mee te doen aan een talentenshow. En we volgen het koppel. We volgen een koppel uit Indonesië die meedoen, die gevlucht zijn voor de liefde. En doorheen het talentenshow ontdekken ze zo langzamerhand dat niets is wat het lijkt. De verliezende deelnemers worden niet naar huis gestuurd, maar lijken van de aardbodem te verdwijnen. En ze ontdekken al snel dat de talentenshow eentje op leven en dood is.
Ja, is goed. Nee, perfect. Gewoon nog misschien goed om mee te geven is dus dat ze binnenkort gematcht worden aan een productiehuis naar keuze. En zij hebben dan een klein budgetje om al een fragment of een pitch of wat zij willen te maken tegen december, wat al heel snel is. En in december zal het publiek op streams en via social daarop kunnen stemmen. En die winnaar zal dus de 4 keer 30 minuten mogen maken.
Oké, goed. En je hebt nog meer goed nieuws, denk ik, Rima?
Ja, omdat het zo'n intensieve, lange dag was, dachten we, iedereen heeft dorst en iedereen kan nu van een receptie genieten van streams.
Voilà. Bedankt om te komen. En gefeliciteerd.